right.
All
Hey,
right.
good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Happy Saturday.
Or good afternoon or good
Or
evening.
good evening.
Depending
Yep.
on what time you're watching this, right? Hi, we're Sean and Allison from Spoken Garden, and we're here to help you become a better gardener.
Yep, that's our mission. That's why we do what we do. We have our channel on YouTube. That's why we have a podcast. That's why we have our blog, which we got to up our game a little bit on. We haven't written in a while. But so yeah, anyway, so that's why we're here, and we're glad you're here with us today. This is going to be so much fun. It's a Q&A today. It's a total Q&A. We've got some questions that we've taken from the last couple weeks that you all out there have asked us, and we've got some answers to those and some questions to ask you. And then we want to encourage you to pop in and ask your questions, specific questions that you might have.
I know, this will be fun today. We figured this would be something we can do every kind of season. We'll just have like one Q&A devoted just to like fall for today. It'll be just about fall gardening. So what fall gardening questions do you have?
Yeah, and maybe we can roll it out too. We haven't talked about this yet. Maybe we can roll it out as we have one of our questions and we answer it, and then we throw it out to you guys out there to answer your questions that you'll do, and then you'll have, and then we'll answer that, and then we'll go back into the next question. We can just oscillate and alternate on those questions.
Sure,
maybe.
we can see how this rolls out.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but we'd love to hear from you if you have, I don't know, mulching questions or flower or plant questions, or what maybe bulb planting. Maybe you have some bulb planting questions.
Yeah,
We would love to help with that.
Maybe some transplanting questions or some dividing questions. You want to divide your perennials? Ask away. That's why we're here. And actually, that's one of the questions today that we pulled out. So that'll be fun.
A couple things, right? Announcements kind of ish before we get started. First of all, good morning to all of you, or hello to all of you that are joining in the chat. We've got Sukwant Gardening Lover here from India. So good afternoon, I think.
Or good evening.
Almost good evening, maybe. Rhonda Testa.
Morning, Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda. Thank you for joining us. And a lot of you are just kind of joining in. We've got a poll going on right now.
Oh, yeah, poll.
This is a tough one, too.
This is good.
What is your favorite fall flowering plant? I mean, there's like too many to pick from.
There's so many.
So I'm really curious to see what you guys... So far, it's a tie between mums, asters, and then other. And we said, just for fun, if you pick the other option, let us know in the chat what that option is.
Yep, totally. Yep,
So,
we want to know. And I wanted to ask you, honey, what's your favorite
fall
flowering plant?
Gosh, there's so many, because, like, I don't know. Okay, so we should have said this as well. Like, does it count if it has to start flowering in the fall? Or is it something that's carried over from summer a little bit?
Yeah, it can carry over. I know where you're going with this. But yeah, it can carry over because there's plants that do flower in late summer and into the early to mid-fall. So yeah, I would say that's a definite possibility.
I mean, this is tough. I have so many, because like right now my favorite top of mind, I know you know, is the Echinacea that we just planted yesterday. I just absolutely love this plant. It just... You left in the video yesterday, but it like screams fall to me because of the colors, right? And the large flower size, and the fact that it's a part Echinacea, part Rudbeckia. I just love it. Yeah. But I also love asters.
Yeah, me too. I love all those plants too. My favorite, I think, will be the tried and true pansies. Love those.
Oh, pansies,
yeah. Yeah, we don't have those in the poll here, but if you like pansies, make sure to click on the poll other, and then type down below in the chat other, and type in pansies or your favorite other flowering plant of the fall. That'd be awesome.
I know, we want to know. Pansies are fun. I always forget that kind of is a fall flowering plant, because here we're in zone 8B is where our garden is, and they kind of bloom all year for us, so I kind of forget like when is the actual bloom time. Is it spring? Is it fall?
We have such a mild climate here. We're lucky to have that. We feel very fortunate and grateful to have that. We have plants that, they flower all year long, like the pansies, like primroses. We have primroses that are starting to flower again.
Yeah, they are. I know, they're so great.
And just the violas and the dianthus, and the mums. Our mums are really coming in full force now. If you want to see us plant fall containers, which would be part 2 of the part 1 series. We have a little series going on now where we have a part 1 where we cleared out our summer containers, cleared them out of the plants on top, dug all the bulbs out, and then we thinned those bulbs out, replanted those in a lasagna style, layered style fashion. And then that was part 1. Then in part 2, those same planters, we planted new fall flowering plants on top of those, in those pots. And that is what part 2 is. That's that video. And I think we just released that just this morning.
I know, sorry about that. We meant to, that was supposed to be a yesterday video. Those of you that follow along real quick with our videos, we always, every Friday, we do a Friday plant chat, and we love picking a different plant around our garden and able to highlight that and teach you more about it. We're going to take a little pause on the Friday plant chats for now. We might have a few, right?
Yep.
But we're going to kind of do some more fall type gardening thing, I think.
Yep. We're going to be fall centric. We're going to get into fall tasks, what to do, what not to do, what tools to use. We're going to go into a lot of different things that we haven't covered yet.
I know there's
in a lot of our videos.
And
definitely. So there's always so much. Oh my gosh.
Well, so we could call it kind of a fall Friday for now, but we might have a few flowers pop in here and there. So Friday plant chats are not going away. We're just kind of putting it on pause.
It's a pause. Yeah, it's a pause. I saw in the chat here, I think it's Jennifer. Yeah, Jennifer T. Pansies. Woo-hoo! Pansies. Team Pansies. All right.
I know. Good morning to you, Jennifer
Good
T.
morning.
Thank you for joining us. Liza's here. Good morning, Liza.
Oh, good morning, Liza.
Rhonda said panicle hydrangeas. That's an awesome option. And
interesting.
That's so cool, too, because they bloom earlier, or, well, not early, but mid to late summer, right? But then a lot of them change color.
They hold on to the flower
and
a very long time, and that flower color switches over, it changes. And yeah, you can still get that benefit from it right now in the fall. It's amazing.
That's a great call, Rhonda.
Beautiful plants. Yeah, good call.
They're just so gorgeous right now. We have some from Bailey Nurseries, the first editions line that they have, and it's called Berry White.
Berry White.
And it's just gorgeous. It starts white, kind of this creamy white color, and then it progresses to this beautiful light pink, and now they are just berry pink.
Bright.
They are gorgeous.
Pink. Yep.
So that's a fun one.
Yeah, cool. Good call, yeah.
Sukwant gardening lover in India also likes pansy flowers. So
awesome.
We should have made that an option.
Team Pansy, let's do this.
Should have made that an option. But, anyway, chime in with your favorite flower. Please let us know in the chat because that's fun to kind of hear from you.
Yep, totally.
And again, I don't know. I really can't pick one. I have like 3.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from. So, yeah. So go ahead. Keep those comments coming in the chat.
Hey.
We want to hear from you. We want to know where you're from, what you're doing right now, and your favorite flowering plant in that poll. So
definitely, that'd be fun.
So cool.
Okay, so we have. Do we want to show the slide of our courses?
Sure.
So some of you know, if you were here last week, we're offering some courses now on this new platform called Amphi. I think they've been around for maybe about 5 or 6 months now. And it's a teaching platform where you can go and like learn, whatever you want to learn. This one, it's kind of similar to Udemy or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Skillshare.
Yep.
So you can go and type in, kind of like cooking or gardening, and like a bunch of classes will pop up.
But this is live.
It's live.
This is like live one-on-one. It's over Zoom. It's all over Zoom technology.
Pretty fun.
And it's us offering ourselves out there to you. If you want any help or there's a couple free courses, there's a couple paid courses, there's coaching. We're just putting it out there, seeing if people would like to have that, because that's part of what we want to do is to help you become a better gardener. This is one way we can do that. So we'd love for any feedback or, see what you like. Go to amphy.com and type in Spoken Garden and check it out. Let us know if you find those topics interesting or not. And we'd love to have you book a session with us.
Yeah, let's show them some examples. And actually, I think we've added 2 new classes since we made this slide. I think we have 7, maybe just 1 new. We have 7 classes total at this point. So kind of a blend of like fall type things, but we also have a pruning coaching session. We have hey, I need help. I need to hire you as garden coaches kind of session.
Yep.
What else do we have?
And very inexpensive too. It's just we want to make this accessible to you guys, and we want to help you. So the pruning coaching session. It's basically if anyone would book that, if anybody books that, we get to work with you one-on-one, and it can just be an exchange of ideas and questions and answers, or you can take us out to your garden with your phone, and you can show us exactly what you want to prune right now, and we can tell you, we can give you tips, we can give you tricks and pro tips, and we can let you know how to get it done or what not to do to make sure that you don't fall into those pitfalls. So that's just one thing there. Yeah, there's the basics of deadheading flowers. We have an intro to plant propagation. That's a free one. And it's 20 minutes. These free ones are 20 minutes, and it's just us talking with you and letting you know about these things, these topics. It's going to be fun.
I think the only one not listed on here we just added in the last couple of days, and we have a tulip and daffodil bulb planting crash course.
Yeah, totally.
So that's just a quick like, hey, I've never planted bulbs before, or I just kind of need help. I didn't do it as well as I thought I did, or I should have, or I don't know. Anything you need help with, if you just have general questions, or you just want to watch us take you through the steps of bulb planting.
Yeah, be fun.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead and check it out, amphy.com.
Yes, I could.
Type in Spoken Garden and check it out. Let us know what you think.
Here, let me, I'll drop a link.
Want to make sure we got that in there.
Which class should we drop in here?
Let's do plant propagation.
Okay, the free one?
Sure, yeah.
So I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now so you guys can just take a look.
It's so much fun. So
this is a free course. Let's see. There we go.
Yeah. And we just want to get this out there. We want to help you guys become a better gardener. We want to make sure that it's value added to you and it's worth your time. And I know
it's gonna be so fun. I know. And if you have any ideas for us, we're gonna be probably in a month or so. We'll change out some of these courses to make them a little more seasonal relevant.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
So if you have any ideas or things that you want us to consider teaching, just let us know in any of the comments on any videos, or you can email us at SeanandAllison@spokengarden.com.
Yep, love to hear from you guys.
So
with that, before we get into this, what's going on in the chat? There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there's let's see. Oh, let's do this. Liza has a great, and Liza, welcome to our community here.
Welcome,
we have
Liza.
An awesome group that show up for these lives.
Yep. And thank you for emailing us about our bulb book and letting us know about that. We're so excited to have you here and just to be able to help you out in your garden. So.
Definitely. So, and we're hoping, just pause on that, I hope that a lot of our usual audience members are able to pop in. So we're still, they're not quite here yet. Okay, so Liza has a great question about watering. She said she's new to this year. So have we cut back on our watering on our drip system for fall on our flowers?
Pretty much.
Awesome
question. It's a great question. And yes, we have, because locally we're getting the rain. The rain is cycling in now. We're getting our normal, what is considered normal rainy season here for the fall. The storms are moving in and moving out, but we're getting a lot more moisture. It has been, and you know this too, Liz, you're in Spokane, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're in Spokane.
So
local,
I know. Yay, local. And go Cougs. Woo! It's been really dry in the Pacific Northwest, let alone the whole Western United States. We've been in a drought situation. This summer was extremely dry, at least here on the west side of Washington State. It was really dry, we know, on the east side, and definitely in the Spokane area. So you had to keep that watering up. We had to water pretty much every single day. We were out just pouring the water on.
There's a lot of
water. The plants are just sucking it up. And so, but right now the rainstorms have been moving through. The moisture's been staying here, really high humidity. We haven't really had to water at all by hand, and it's been really nice. So we have cut back and turned off our drip systems for now, but we're keeping an eye on it because there could be some dry spells here, and even though things are cooling down here for our climate and the storms are moving through, we still got to keep an eye on it, and we would encourage you to do the same thing. If you have a couple of days where it's going to be fairly dry, or even a week or two it's going to be fairly dry, keep an eye on it. You might have to turn your systems back on to keep your plants hydrated. Now, at this point, if you've already winterized and you've taken up your drip systems and you've put them away for the winter coming up because you don't want to get damaged and you want to reuse them next year, don't be afraid to still bring out that garden hose with that water nozzle and get some water on your plants. Get those roots hydrated, keep those plants hydrated, especially in the dry spells. So just throwing that out there. Because that's what we're going to do. Our systems are going to come up soon too. We turned them off. We haven't taken them out yet. But we always keep an eye on the weather. And if it gets dry, we bring out that garden hose, hook it back up to the water spigot, get that nozzle on there, and get the water on the plants.
Yeah, definitely.
So, great question.
Really good question. That's that'll lead us into our first YouTube audience question.
Cool.
Okay, this comes from Mary Swift on our winter pansy plant care. Super relevant. Pansies, a lot of you have already chimed in that's one of your favorite fall blooming plants, especially you two. So pansies, okay. So can I leave pansies out in the winter, and what about the frost?
So that's a great question. And so...
Can they tolerate frost?
Yeah, so can they tolerate frost? Yes, they can, because we have them planted out throughout everywhere in our garden. They're pretty much in every single area of our garden. Front yard, backyard. And yeah, we do love them. They're just so beautiful. And they keep coming back. They just keep flowering. So they're hardy in our area, in our zone 8B. You got to make sure they're hardy in your area, your zoning, your regional and local climate where you live. Because if they're not hardy there, they're probably not going to survive the frosts in the winter and all that. Well, excuse me, they will survive the frost because they are hardy at that. But if you're living in a zone where they're not hardy, then you need to protect them. You need to put them in like containers or somehow protect them and get them up against a building where they're going to get residual heat and keep them protected over the winter. Now, in zone 8B here, we definitely get frost, we get snow, we get freezing ice, and they do fine here. So, and I'm not remembering the zoning for pansies specifically.
It's pretty wide, though.
I think it's down to like, it's like 5 or 6, maybe 4, might even be 3. But they're super hardy plants. They're really hardy. Allison's you're gonna Google it, aren't you?
I'm gonna Google it really quick.
Uncle Google. But yeah, they'll survive frost. They'll survive snow. We've had the last couple of years here. We've gotten 2-3 feet of snow, like in January and February. And they do fine. The snow actually insulates them. It doesn't stick around for a really, really, really long time, so that's good because then the plants can still photosynthesize. Once the snow comes, it drops on it, and then it gets insulated by the snow for a couple days or so, and then the snow eventually goes away. The plants can photosynthesize again, and it's good. So they're fine. So I think hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, hardiness-wise, there's kind of some conflicting info, so we should pull up our own
plant chat
or plant profile. But it looks like zone 6 or 7 and up, they're hardy.
Oh, okay.
But one website said down to the zone 2, so I'm thinking no.
That doesn't sound right. But
I think it's about 6 or 7.
Yeah, let's go like 6, probably 6 to 10 or something, 6 to 11 or something like that. But anyway, so down to zone 6, that's pretty cold. That's like negative degrees for the lowest average temperature in the winter. So they're really, really hardy. So hope that helps. What was our question? We wanted to ask you guys out there a question after that question, that answer. Are you growing pansies outside their hardiness zone, and are you having success with it? So are you growing pansies below zone 6, the USDA hardiness zone 6? And are you having success with it? Let us know in the chat. It'd be fun to know how you're doing that, if you're doing that. So,
okay,
pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. So pansies, there we go.
Pansies.
So moving on, next question comes from Trevor Berger. The question is on the Gazania plant chat. So Gazanias, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Interesting. How are Gazanias in windy conditions?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
So most of your Gazanias they're mound forming. There might be different forms out there, but the one we're really familiar with is that mound form. They like moist soil, but they don't like super wet soil. So keep that in mind. With winds coming in and out, it depends on where they're located in your garden, but overall, they do fine under windy conditions, especially if it's not like gale force winds all the time. But if there's a constant wind, that's fine as long as it's like 2 to 10 miles per hour, whatever, it'll be calm sometimes. The wind can't always blow. But the thing you need to worry about when it's windy and you have a lot of different types of plants that like to have moisture around their, to have moisture just in general, is you need to make sure that the soil is kept moist, because when the wind blows around any plants, and especially Gazania, it actually increases the transpiration and the gas exchange of those plants around the leaves, and part of that gas exchange is water. It's moisture, and it can leave the plant, and so plants can become dried out. They can become dehydrated really fast in a windy situation, especially if the weather, if the air is really dry. It's not high humidity, so you want to, in windy conditions, in dry conditions too, you want to make sure that, like dry air, you want to make sure the plants are hydrated on a regular basis. So just something to keep in mind there. But as far as just in general Gazania plants and the wind going around, blowing around them should be fine.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're worried about it, put them in a protected area in a plant or in a pot, and or a protected area in your garden, and that should be pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. So our question for you guys in the audience, so how do you protect your plants during a windstorm? So if you know that there's a bunch of wind coming up, or it's expected, what do you take any measures, or do you just kind of let the plants do their thing?
Yeah, let us know. We'd love to know what you do to protect your plants. We get a lot of windstorms around here. We do. We get hit about now. This is the time of year when they really start coming in, and we keep kind of getting them until about December, January, sometimes into late winter. They just kind of cycle through sometimes.
Yeah, and I have to say we don't really do much to like protect our plants. They're pretty hardy out there. We have certain ones that need protection. They're behind other plants, or they're we move containers around. So maybe that's part of our answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it'd be fun to hear what you guys do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, is anybody?
Not yet.
Okay,
no.
Cool. Okay.
I want to make sure we're not having any.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay. Kind of does, but.
Well, maybe a little bit.
Okay, so again, if you are just joining us, let us know in the chat if you have any fall gardening questions, because we're kind of, our whole episode today is geared towards you guys, and just what are your questions today?
Yeah.
About fall gardening.
We're just asking, we're asking and answering these questions for other people that have actually written them down and commented on different videos, but we want to know if you guys have any questions out there, so let them rip. Let's hear them.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Okay, so moving on. So this question comes from Jane Harrington. By the way, so far, thank you, all of you, for all of your questions so far.
Thank you, you guys.
So this is on the Azalea Plant Care Plant Chat Friday from Jane. So Jane would like to know, what weed killer do you use under azaleas?
It's a very specific question.
Yeah.
Very specific question. So, and thank you, Jane, for asking this question. So what we do is not only under our azaleas, our rhodies, and other plants in our garden, but just in general, what we do is we use a lot of mulch. We hand weed. We either hand weed just literally with our hands, or we use a hori-hori knife, or we use a hand trowel. We get in there and we literally pull the plants out. We don't use any chemicals whatsoever. We don't use vinegar. We don't use any type of organic pesticide, herbicide. We don't use any of that stuff. What we do use though, is we use Sluggo around a lot of our plants that are susceptible to slug damage and earwigs. But that is really the only thing we've ever used in our garden. But that's not for weeds. That's for pests, for like insect pests and slugs. Yeah, so under our azaleas, we don't use anything. So there are different things out there that you can use. And there's chemicals out there. There's organically sourced, and then there's the synthetics. There are things out there that you can use to literally sprinkle around the base of your azaleas or your rhodies or other plants in your garden. And it depends on the chemical. It depends on the label. You want to make sure if you're going to use something like that, read the label thoroughly. Read it all the way through. Don't just go to, this is how you use it. You want to look at all the information, because a lot of times there's very specific information on any labels for when to use it, what plants to use it around, and it can get a little technical, but it's very important information, so I would encourage you to read that label. So, but for us, we use nothing.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah. If you have more specific questions than this, and you want to know something to put down, email us at seanandallison@spokengarden.com. We can get back to you with some possible recommendations depending on your situation and what you want to do.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So a question for the audience, for you guys watching. Do you use eco-friendly methods of weed control, and what are they?
Yeah, totally.
So it's fun to just share notes and just see what other people are doing, and just what works for you in your garden.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to know. So, awesome.
Okay, so moving on.
Moving on.
So we've got a question from Evelyn Holmes on our pruning Pompous grass video. So why do you have to cut it all down? It looked pretty.
I know, it did.
And this is like the same thing that I thought of, because if you're thinking of Pompous grass, when they have those beautiful plumes of just this kind of whitish colored, feathery kind of...
it's their flower.
It's their flower, right?
Yep.
It's like, why cut them down? They're so beautiful.
Yeah, I know. It's
Why?
slightly counterintuitive, because they do look healthy. Most of the time they do look beautiful. The reason you cut down Pompous grass a lot of times is because it can outgrow where you've planted it, its location, pretty fast, especially in the right conditions. If it's getting everything at once, a lot of water, a lot of sun, they can get big. And so even the dwarf varieties can get big. I think the dwarf varieties they get 6 feet tall. That's big. That's huge. So the regular varieties get 12, 15 or so plus feet tall. I've seen them 15 feet tall in Seattle. So the reason you want to cut them down and do this is because you want to control their height mainly, because a lot of these plants are around structures, they're around houses, they're in front of buildings, they're along driveways, and a lot of times they get so big, you need to control that height so you can see around them and make sure it's safe. So a lot of people cut them down at least halfway, if not sometimes like until a foot off the ground. And that could be a little extreme. It might seem extreme, but under optimal conditions for the pampas grass, doesn't bother them at all. They just come right back.
They always come back, I know.
And so, excuse me. And so something you also want to know, the reason to cut them down too is because you got to get in there and take those plumes out, the flowers out. Excuse me. Because what happens is a lot of these pampas grass, their seeds are really viable and they spread by the wind. Once those grasses go to seed, and you see the flower heads up there and they go to seed, and the wind can come up, pick up those seeds, and it'll blow them for miles. And they can readily germinate and produce a whole new plant very easily. And so you want to get in there before that happens and cut those plumes off. Now, if you don't do that, yeah, if you don't do that, okay, that's fine. But the plume will deteriorate, especially if it gets wet, and it can get wind battered, and so it just won't look as good. So what you do is you go in anyway and cut those large stalks off and pull those out, so then it doesn't look so ratty. Another reason to cut the pampas grass down too, to get that rejuvenation of growth, is because they can have older leaves in there, the older, I want to say straps, because they're just these long, I mean, it's the leaves, but they're razor sharp, so watch out.
I know they are. Very careful.
So yeah, so they can get old, they can get brown, they can brown, and they just look old and it looks ratty. It's just this brown look to it. So you can go in and cut that plant really far down, or at least halfway down, and it rejuvenates itself, and you get all this new flush of growth. And that looks fun too. That looks really good. So anyway, those are a couple reasons why you'd want to do that.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt the plant. Like I said, they're so hardy and tough, you can really hack them back, and they'll just come right back with vigor.
I know, but I totally agree with you, Jane. Evelyn. I love the way they look, and I always question, like, why are we cutting these down? They look so pretty. Plus, they provide more privacy. You know, if that's where a lot of people use pampas grass for, like, a privacy, kind of barrier or whatnot, because they do get so big and so wide.
Yeah.
And it's like, they look so beautiful in bloom.
They do. They're gorgeous plants.
But I guess, I get for their health and for their, for the non-spread of their seeds, right?
Totally, all of those reasons. Yeah.
When is a good time to cut them down?
A good time to cut them down and get them rejuvenated,
I can't remember,
is like early spring, or actually, yeah, because a lot of times, at least around here, out to the coast, which is about 2 hours away from us, or inland here where we are at, they'll go to flower about February, maybe late January, mid-February. The flower plumes come up, they're beautiful, and then after that, they die back. The flower plumes, they die, they wither, they get wind battered. And that's a really good time to then cut them, because they've gone through their flowering cycle and they're getting ready to put on a new flush of growth anyway. So cut them back, and then you can control. That's a good time to cut them back and control that size and that height.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So,
do you guys cut down your ornamental grasses?
Yeah.
And if so, when?
Yeah.
What works for your garden?
Yeah, and what grasses are they? The fescues? Are they the maidenhair types? There's a whole bunch of different kinds of ornamental grasses out there.
That was a fun, and those of you that maybe were here remember, we did earlier, was it summer? I think we did a couple, like a 2-part kind of live series on ornamental grasses, and that was a lot of fun. I learned about so many new grasses that I'd never heard of before.
Totally.
Yeah, that was
so
fun.
many. We got a couple comments
here. Yeah, a couple
here.
questions. So, Rhonda Testa. So let's go to an audience question here. She's wondering, do I have to prune my lavender? So I'm assuming, Rhonda, you mean this fall, right? I mean, this is a fall.
Yeah, you can. You don't have to prune it if you don't want to. Some people prune it now. Some people wait till early spring, late winter, and then they prune it. It kind of depends on how harsh of a climate you're in and when you just want to get it done. Ours are done blooming. Yours are probably getting almost done blooming or are done blooming. You can go in there, cut all those back, cut off the dead flowers, deadhead it if you want. The thing you want to worry about and the thing you want to think about is when you cut a lavender plant, if the conditions are still right, it might put on a new flush of growth though. And after you cut it, like if you cut it now and you shaped it and it looks beautiful and you just got it that right mounded form or however you want to shape it, doing that could trigger it and signal it to put on new flush of growth right before the harsh winter comes in, that colder climate comes in with freezing temperatures and really cold temperatures. So that could do some damage to that new growth because it's so soft, you know, it's not hardened off from this previous summer's growth. So it hasn't had time to mature enough to be able to make it through a winter and hard frost. So if it was me and I had your, or it was going to be our lavender plant out here, I would say cut off the dead blooms, get it deadheaded, but don't shape it yet. Wait to shape it in the early spring, and that'll work a lot better. If you need to thin it out and get some dead pieces out of it, or it's getting too thick, or it's getting a little rangy, maybe cut out the dead pieces right now, but still wait to shape it until late winter, early spring, when those frosty temperatures have almost passed or have passed. And then that way you won't run into any new growth that potentially could come from pruning and shaping it getting damaged. You don't want to damage that new growth. So I hope that helps. So
she said she's in zone 5B.
Yes. Okay. So zone 5B. Thank you for that. So don't shape it until this spring. Don't shape it until this spring because it's going to get cold where you're at, and any new flush of growth you get right now is going to get damaged this winter.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I like that we wait till spring.
Me too.
Or late winter, early spring.
Me too. Me too.
Shape on there.
Now, we need to back this up a little bit because
we've done both.
Yeah, we've done both. And like this year, we had a whole bunch. Our lavender was huge, and I think we showed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we showed it in a couple of videos at least, just kind of during the summer. It's like, oh my gosh, look at this plant.
Huge.
But we had all these old blooms on it. It was done flowering. It's like we're starting to get new blooms coming through that. So we actually gave it a quick haircut. But that was between about midsummer to late summer.
Yeah.
And so it did okay. It got a little bit of new growth, but not a lot. But when we did that, we were able to get a new flush of growth, but it also had that time to harden off. It had that time to get a little bit more mature to then take on these colder temperatures that are coming. So we think that's good. It's something we're going to try. We haven't tried that yet. So some people out there will say you can do that. Some people say you can't. But if you want to play it safe, don't hard prune or shape your lavender until this spring.
That's good.
Yeah.
Rhonda said thank you for that. So thank you, Rhonda.
You bet, Rhonda.
That's helpful.
Thank you for your question.
And,
that's super
keep
cool.
us posted on that.
Yeah, right.
Lavenders are amazing plants.
Which lavender is it too? Is it English lavender? Is it Spanish lavender? Is it the
French.
Fern leaf?
Oh, Egyptian lavender.
Egyptian lavender.
Love that one.
Yeah. So,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful for you. We had a couple people jump in. All good said good morning.
Hey,
sorry
morning,
late to the party. No worries. We're just happy you're here. Mark's here. Mark said,
hey,
hi everyone. He said his favorite fall blooming plant is such an awesome choice, Helenium.
Helenium.
Which I told him we need to add that to our garden too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's one that I totally want to add. I always forget about that one.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't have thought that. Good choice,
I know,
Mark.
great choice. And then G stopped by. G said
G.
he was just stopping by really quick
hey,
because he's on his way to MC his town's Fall Pumpkin Festival.
Fun.
How cool is that?
That's so cool.
I know.
Good luck, G.
I know.
You're going to do
I can't
awesome.
wait to hear about that. So thank you for stopping by on your busy morning. I think a lot of us are getting busy in the fall right now.
Oh, yeah. So many projects, so little time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot going on before it gets even colder for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah. I know. We got to get out in our garden. There's
we have
a ton
lot
of stuff
to do.
I
know. It's like piling up. We got kind of busy this past couple weeks. We still still have a family member in the hospital right now. So that's just your world kind of stops.
It does.
Right? And it
really does. Everything is put on hold and pause. He's doing better.
Yeah,
he's on the mend.
He's doing so much better. And it's
not
COVID, by the way.
No, it's not COVID.
Scary to think
it's something else, but it's just he's doing a lot better. He's going to come home, and so that makes us so happy, and we're less worried, and so
Yeah, that's been a lot of stress lately. So we appreciate you guys being patient. We haven't had as many videos out lately. It's just been
or podcasts or other things. We haven't been able to get to a lot of things because everything gets put on hold for family, and so thanks for understanding, guys.
Yeah,
we're getting back into it. So here we go.
Okay, so again, keep your questions coming. Here is the last one that we have. So Nancy Eliadis. Sorry, I'm probably saying that totally wrong.
Yeah, sorry, Nancy.
Nancy has a great question about Dianthus. So what time of year do you divide and transplant Dianthus?
Great question, because it can be confusing. It is a perennial. It can be a perennial. So a lot of people would say, well, it's a perennial. Don't you divide and transplant it in the fall? And the answer is no, you don't. You could try to do that, but it's not the best timing for this specific plant. The plant reacts better. Dianthus reacts better in general when you divide and transplant it in the springtime. And the reason for that is because it's starting to grow. It reacts better. It's different than some of the other perennials out there that you might think to divide and transplant right now, like hostas, like Shasta daisies, like blanket flowers, which you can all do right now. There's a lot of other plants out there to do the same thing with campanula, crocosmia, bulbs, but they're perennials. But Dianthus, it reacts better and does much better and survives when you divide it and transplant it in the springtime. And so it just does a lot better. It's starting to grow again. Once it starts growing and getting actively growing, it just reacts better once it hits that point in about early spring, late winter. You get that active growth, divide it then, transplant it then. It'll do great. It'll survive a lot better than if you did it during the fall. So great question. And so our question out to the audience would be, which plants are you planning on dividing this fall? Which plants do you plan on actually making that division, cutting them in half or in quarters or in thirds, whatever you need to do there, whatever you want to do, and getting them in other places and transplanting other places to your garden? So are you going to do Shasta daisies? Again, are you going to do campanula? You got any sage?
Hostas.
Yeah, hostas.
I know, what's on our list? I think so.
Oh,
we were
so
talking about dividing. I mean, the problem with dividing is, well, it's not a problem, but for us kind of is. Where are you planning on putting all of those plants after you divide them? Because it's like now you have 2 plants, maybe even 3 plants after the division. Where are they going to go?
Yep.
Do you have space in your garden? Do you have
do you have enough
full sun
if
needed?
Is it going to meet the growing requirements? Where can the plant get what it needs in other areas of your garden? Yeah, like Allison said, sun, soil, space. Is it going to get enough water? Is your irrigation system set up to, is it going to get irrigation in that area? Or do you have to modify your irrigation system, bring water to it? These are a lot of things you should think about before you start transplanting or planting plants. So anyway, but super fun. There's so many plants to do right now to transplant. Bring in, not only is this a good time in the fall to divide and transplant plants, it's also a good time to plant your perennials. You can go buy perennials and like shrubs and trees a little bit later, but you can do them right now if you want to. But a lot of shrubs, you can plant them right now and they'll do great. This is a great time to get them in, especially if they've already flowered this past spring, summer. You want to make sure they go through the biological process to reproduce, and then put them through the shock of transplanting them, from pots or containers into your garden. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about the hostas. We have a lot of hostas that have gotten huge, and it's time to divide them. Yep. And I love that because that's a shadier plant that we have tons of space in our garden here for like shade plants, but like we're running out of room for full sun. We have to keep we have a lot of ideas of expanding, different garden beds and kind of taking grass out and kind of maximizing our full sun space, right?
Yes, totally.
But it's going to require some serious digging.
Yeah, and so this is something funny too here. This is really cool, actually. Not funny. It's really cool. Hostas are a perennial, but they're actually a bulb.
Yeah.
They're actually a bulb. It's actually one of the common names for it is the plantain lily. And when you transplant them, it's a little bit different transplanting and dividing. Sorry, it's a little bit different dividing that plant versus dividing a campanula or a Shasta daisy or a blanket flower that has this crown, this mat that then it grows up out of. Hostas are actual bulbs underneath the ground, and when they multiply and they get bigger, and you see more and more of them over many years. But there's a different way to divide those as a perennial versus Shasta daisies and blanket flower and all these other ones. So, and we're going to have a video on that, and it's coming up here because we need to divide some of ours. They're getting huge.
We have a list. Yeah, definitely hostas, Shasta daisies.
Yeah.
Although we're not sure where we're going to put them.
I know.
Actually, I loved the big mass of Shastas that we had this past year, past couple of years.
Yep,
so
it's beautiful.
I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to divide them. I kind of want them to be like.
There's other ones we can move though that aren't doing.
That's true.
That have just gotten shaded out because the trees growing and different things, so we can move those around.
That's true.
So
okay.
I want to tell you guys. So for hostas and transplanting them, just a little tip. Don't just go in and find the hosta and start dividing it right then and there, because you can't see what you're actually cutting into and dividing. What you want to do is, if you can, if it's not too big and massive, if it's relatively, it's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years old, and you got a good amount of it, but it's not like super big and huge, dig up the whole plant, dig up the whole mass, get it up out of the ground, loosen the dirt from around it, and then see where you can make your cuts, where you can divide actual plants off, bulbs off of that mass to then have a completely new plant. If you just go in willy-nilly and just start cutting into it, you run the chance of not having a viable plant to transplant out. You might be able to have a chunk and go put it somewhere, but its survivability rate goes way down because you literally don't know what you're cutting into. And you could cut into one of those bulbs, half it, and take out all of its storage stuff. Yeah, see, I mean, but if you don't know, you don't know. So yeah, if you're gonna divide a hosta, dig around it, dig it completely up, tease all the dirt off of it from around it, and get a good look at what you've got there, and then you make your division. And we'll show you more in an upcoming video.
I know, I was just thinking dividing hostas, that'll probably be one of our first ones.
Yeah,
First dividing videos coming up.
It's so fun. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to learn more about that.
Yeah.
We've got a couple questions in the chat, and some members have dropped by. A lot of people are really busy today.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're just thankful that you guys took a minute to
thank you
come
for
by
swinging
and say
by,
hi.
guys.
That's so cool.
Yeah, wow.
So Kim dropped by really quick. Kim Matlock. Kim said she's showing houses today, so she's busy, but
good luck,
she wanted to drop by and say hi really quick.
Thank you, Kim.
She said she's listening on the run and listening to the replay.
Woohoo.
So have a great week to you too, Kim.
Yeah, great week, Kim.
We have a question from All Good.
All Good.
The question is, do you recommend cow manure compost for potted plants? And I wrote back already before telling you this. I just said we don't personally use cow manure
That's
in
how
our
I
garden.
was going to answer that too.
But I know that you can, I guess,
can.
as long as it's been, composted.
Yeah, you want to make sure that it's broken down enough that it's useful. It's not gonna just kind of stick around and be chunky. You want to make sure that it's a good broken down compost consistency. So
I know. I guess we don't really have a great answer for that because again, we don't personally use. We have some different types of. We've tried different fertilizers all the time. We've really been happy with Espoma. We've been using Fox Farm fertilizer lately for some of our potted plants, and they have different kinds. They have like the liquid where you can add it to the watering can, or you can use a time release.
Yeah, and any
There's different types.
Oh, totally. And anytime you're using any manure-based fertilizer or product, wear gloves. Wear gloves. You'll thank yourself later for it because it's just a thing.
I could get why people would want that because of all the nutrients. Once it, again, like you said, once it's completely broken down, right?
Yeah.
But I know there's that product, Black Gold, I think that they sell.
It's local around here. Yeah,
cow manure composted kind of bagged.
And
products.
it works great.
Lowe's.
Yeah, it works great. It's good stuff. Just watch out and make sure if it's not completely broke down, there's chances of some of the manures burning the plants, having some type of adverse effect on the plants. So just make sure it's good. It's nicely broken down. It's not just like chunked out, pieces of manure in with soil or other compost material. So that way it'll be more consistent. It'll have more nutrients available to the plant on a regular basis.
So throwing it out to the audiences here right now, do you have experience using cow manure compost on any of your potted plants? Let us know.
Yeah, totally.
We want to be able to help All Good, and again, we don't use that product.
We don't. Yeah.
It'd be fun to hear from those of you that have.
But yeah, totally. Yeah.
So thank you for that question, though, All Good. That's awesome. Let me zip through here. We had a couple really nice. Mark and Liza both said we're really we're thinking, kind thoughts and prayers for your family member.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Liza. Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, I'm just kind of going down the chat here.
He's doing better. He's doing a lot better. So thank you for that.
If we didn't mention that, it's Sean's dad.
It's my dad.
I don't know if we mentioned that before.
Yeah. He's doing a lot better.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey. Sharon LaFay. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
Thanks for joining us. Sharon has a great question. This is something that we've noticed in our garden, and we've had other comments from other audience members around. In fact, I think from England, this was a question recently. Sharon says, my alliums and muscari are coming up again. They already bloomed in spring. Do you think they will flower again before it gets too cold? She just put them in last year. So the muscari, the grape hyacinth, I'm assuming you mean like the leaves are coming up out of the ground. We're seeing that in our garden too, and we have seen that before.
That's normal.
It's normal.
That's actually normal behavior for muscari. For the alliums, it might depend on the kind of alliums you have.
Right, there are some later fall or later summer blooming alliums.
Yeah, so depending on what's going on.
But she said they bloomed in spring.
Climate, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm glad you repeated that. It kind of depends on your local climate. If they've already bloomed, they should have went through the reproductive cycle. I know from experience that my mom used to have alliums and muscari in the front of our old house where I grew up. They would grow. They were in a perfect spot. They would have green leaves like all spring, all summer, into the fall and parts of the winter, and then they would die down, and then we'd have to cut them back. And it was just where they were located at the house, the location, the amount of sun and shade they got, the amount of water they got. And they just multiplied. They just took up this whole bed in the front, right by the front door. And I was always amazed at that, how green it stayed and just how they kept growing. It was amazing. So it can depend on your climate. Sometimes climactic factors can influence the plants to want to grow again sooner than they're supposed to, than they're biologically supposed to, and that their normal behavior would dictate. So this could be that, but if you've cut them back already, I don't know if you did this or not, but sometimes when you cut certain plants back, they will reproduce a little bit and come back up. We see this a little bit with some of our smaller alliums or ornamental alliums. We have a whole pot of them out in the backyard, and we'll cut them and they just come right back. I mean, they almost grow almost year round here. It's kind of amazing. And so they do have that capability in certain conditions. So this could be something happening for you too. Maybe you cut them back and you didn't know you cut them back, and now they're coming back. They're growing, they're regrowing. So it's hard to say. If you want more information about this, we can help you with that. Right here, let us know if maybe you cut them back or something else happened around them that stimulated them to regrow and come back. Plants are very, very interesting, and they can surprise us a lot.
I know. I'm surprised about the alliums too, but that does make me wonder, if it's just... Sharon said she's in Zone 8B like we are. I believe Sharon's in Oregon, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So it's probably not all that different. We're all inland, kind of down that strip of we've got coastal, and then we're all a couple hours in.
Yeah, the coastal range and then the Cascade Range, sure.
So it could be a similar. I mean, obviously your climate's a little different, but or your microclimate. Mm-hmm. But that's cool. But don't panic about the grape hyacinth.
Don't panic.
I know I before I asked you about it, I was kind of panicking. I'm like, what's going on? And it's very common.
Yeah,
it's happening in England too.
That's cool. It's good to know because Sharon too, with our alliums out here and our grape hyacinth being in the same zone, we don't really do anything with them. We let them grow. And we just leave them alone. We don't throw more mulch on top of them to insulate them from the winters and the wind and the snow and the ice. We just kind of leave them alone. Our alliums out here, I hate to say it, but we pretty much forget about them.
I know, we kind of do.
They're in this pot, and we just forget about them all the time. And they just keep coming back. They're doing fine. They're nice and healthy. I'm thinking of the alliums, right? Am I thinking of the chives?
I think you're thinking of the alliums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, we just literally don't do anything with them. We just kind of let them go. They're in this pot, they're contained, they're gorgeous, and we just leave them alone. So chances are you'll be able to do the same thing. We've had some really, really cold winters here the last couple winters, and it's gotten down into the teens and single digits. And our alliums and grape hyacinth, even though they've grown above ground, they have those leaves already up above ground. They're photosynthesizing, doing all those things. It seems early. They're perfectly fine. So we know they're hardy in those extreme climates, at least here, or extreme temperatures here. More than likely, they're going to be fine where you're at too. So try not to worry too much about it.
I know. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I mean, and you just planted them a year ago, so you got to enjoy them this past spring. And those are such beautiful, beautiful bulbs.
Well, they're so hardy too. So, and they spread.
Oh, the grape.
They spread. Oh my God.
Actually, Sharon, we just found a whole bunch of, they've spread a ton. They just formed this huge mass. And we just posted a video the other day where we actually thinned out and divided our grape hyacinth or muscari. And I mean, they are just everywhere.
Yeah,
so yours
really
probably have already kind of multiplied too. And it's fun to see them come up.
Yep. And they'll spread underneath the ground. And then when you let them go to seed and the seed drops, those will germinate too. And it'll take them a couple years to be able to actually produce flowers. But those little seeds and those seedlings, bulbets, whatever you want to call them, they really multiply. So have no fear. They're super hardy. So yeah, great question.
I know, that is a fun question.
Yeah, great question.
I know. Are you guys still buying, those of you in the audience, are you still let me back up. Have you started planting your fall planted bulbs yet?
Oh yeah.
Or are you still ordering them?
Yeah.
We're kind of in the ordering phase still, because again, everything's kind of been on hold for a couple weeks. So we have a few things we're going to add, but really a lot of our tulips were like, as we told you guys a couple of weeks ago, fingers crossed, they're all Darwin hybrids and they're supposed to be more perennial than other tulips. So we're hopeful that a lot of our beautiful color blends tulips that we took a lot of time planting last year will come back.
Yep, very hopeful.
Even if half of them come back, I'll be excited.
Yeah,
right?
Me too. Yeah, they're beautiful. So yeah, can't wait for the bulbs to come up. Can't wait for spring.
So excited. I know, we're already excited for spring.
We're already excited for spring.
We're always thinking ahead.
Winter's,
right? Gardeners always think
winter's
season.
coming up, but winter's fun too. So any new questions or anything?
Yeah, we've got, there's been a lot going on. I've been handling some things offline. Sharon said she's still ordering, so yay. Sorry. Really fun. So our poll again that we have running right now, we've just had it up the whole episode, is what is your favorite fall flowering plant? And let's check in on that right now, because one that came up in the chat that a lot of people were like, oh, me too, was snapdragons.
Really?
So
that's great.
A fun one.
Yeah. Cold season crop. That's cool.
But actually, mums are in the lead. So favorite fall flowering plant right now, mums.
Mums.
So, okay, and then, so that's fun. So let us know just for fun, what your vote is there.
Yep. And if you click on other, make sure that you type in the chat other and then what that plan is, because we want to know what that other is.
We want to know.
So
Jennifer T has a question. These are a great one. So
hi, Jennifer.
Are there certain plants or character, okay?
Yeah.
He got so excited he hit his hand on the table.
Jesus.
Are there certain plants or characteristics to avoid when choosing plants to plant on top of lasagna bulbs in a container, like we did?
Yeah.
Are there plants or characteristics that we should avoid?
Great question. There is. One thing that comes to mind is any plant that grows off of a crown, like a perennial, like a Shasta daisy.
Like coneflowers.
Coneflowers, blanket flowers, campanula. Anything that grows off of a crown, even like peonies, they have a crown. They have this mat, these plants do, and they grow out. They radiate out with this mat. And on this mat are the buds, are what they call eyes. And they're just buds. And as that mat grows, those eyes, basically that mat is just these eyes of these buds that just start coming up. And that's why you see like Shasta daisies, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's because that mat keeps growing out and that mass of buds keeps growing out. So when it forms that mat, it makes it really hard for those bulbs to push up through those. And sometimes they can still push up through, sometimes they can't.
I know, we had a,
Yeah. And so if you're planning on putting that type of perennial that has a crown growth, or a crown grower, make sure to keep in mind where you're planting it in a container, and keep in mind where the bulbs are planted in relation to it. a good way to maybe think about it is put that crown-forming plant, if that's what you want to do in a pot, in a container, put it either to one side or in the center, and then put, in relation to that, put the bulbs, if you have your crown plant perennial in the center, plant your bulbs around the perimeter. So they'll still come up and penetrate through the soil. You don't want to create a non-penetrable surface with that crown of that plant. So that's one type of, that's one thing to look at for any perennials placing over bulbs.
Well, and I love that you said that, because this is something we've had experience with, obviously. Like, if you watch the most recent video, first of all, this is kind of a funny, not a funny story, but okay, so we kind of had a panic kind of moment where we needed containers quick, and we needed them to be nice because we wrote a book and we had a bunch of photos, we had photo shoot deadlines. So we planted these 2 beautiful Gerbera daisies in these beautiful blue kind of striped planters that you might have noticed in the video. And we kind of got busy and sort of forgot, and they kind of came back, which is fine. But we had daffodils in there that we forgot about. And the Gerbera was actually blocking their growth. So the daffodils never even came up. We forgot they were in there until we dug into that.
Yeah, thank goodness they were still alive.
They were still alive. They were really hardy, actually.
Yeah, they were good. But so it's good that they came back.
They came back.
But they're going to come back.
They will. And we have since now removed the Gerbera daisies. We're planting them out in our landscape. We've repotted those planters. So what we did, we actually used some echinacea, some echinacea, which I love. And what our plan is now, like Sean just explained, in this, if you could imagine this being the rim of the container, we planted our grape hyacinth all around the outside, and everything else is about 6 to 8 inches below the surface. We planted 2 very mat forming perennials in there with the echinacea and the coneflower. And we're just going to be removing those in probably late winter.
And that's the video. What Allison's explaining is the actual video that we released really early this morning, before this live. And so if you want to check that out and see what we planted and how we planted them, go ahead and check out that video. It's part 2 of our one of our fall container
kind of
plantings.
Refresh.
Yeah. And so and the idea of what we're going to do is, did you already say this?
I don't remember.
Is basically we're going to let these plants do their thing. We're going to enjoy their flowers. We're going to enjoy their presence in those containers. Yeah. And once they're done flowering, and we have a chance before the bulbs come up and the soil's workable around our garden, we're going to transplant those out of the pots. And the reason is because we don't want them, we want to enjoy them now, but we want to make sure that later the bulbs have the chance to come up. So we're going to move those plants, and we have to remember this. With everything else going on.
We have to go right to our phone calendar or our Google Calendar and just put it right in there.
Yep. And so what we have to do is we're going to make sure that we move those plants, transplant them out of the containers, put them in the landscape somewhere, and so we can still enjoy them and see them the coming spring and summer, but make room and space for those bulbs to pop up through and for us to enjoy them too. So it's a little bit of a timing thing. We're kind of packing a lot into those containers for the seasons. We're getting our fall fix, flower fix, fall flower fix, triple F. Right now and into the later in the fall and the winter, and then we'll get our early spring fix, late winter fix with the bulbs too.
And we'll get the plants out.
Yeah, we'll get the plants out.
And put them in the landscape.
So there's a little bit of a timing thing there.
I know, it's a timing thing. And you know, those perennials, we should be transplanting out into the landscape in the fall, but like now, but we're going to enjoy them. And
it's okay to do it in the spring as long as the soil's workable and, you know, the plant's needs are all being met and it's not too harsh on it and it's in good health. A lot of different things, a lot of boxes have to be checked. A lot of boxes need to be checked to make that happen, but it's okay to do it in the spring. Fall's the best time, but spring's okay too.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So,
and Sean and I kind of experiment a little bit, and we push the envelope just a little bit.
We definitely push the limits.
We will be probably posting a video about that later in the winter.
Yes, totally. That'd be fun.
But that's a really great question.
Great question,
I know,
Jennifer.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
And Liza said that was a great question, Jennifer. So, and then Mark had some great suggestions for fertilizer, going back to the cow manure in the potted plants.
Cool.
He said he used to use steer manure a lot, but if you're careful, like you said, it'll burn your plants.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that will burn.
Yeah.
So now he uses peat moss, garden soil, and a trace element trace element fertilizers, like a yum yum mix. Never heard of that.
Huh? What's that, Mark?
I know.
Can you let us know what a yum yum mix is? I mean, we could Google it.
I think it says from
you're
High
right
Country
here.
Gardens.
Okay.
So he uses specialty fertilizers for nutrient-poor soils. So that's kind of what he's moved over to for his pots.
Awesome.
So that's cool.
Yeah, really cool.
I know everybody has such cool ideas for, especially fertilizer. I mean, we have a few things that we use, but we don't use any real specialty type things. No. We don't have time. We kind of forget.
Well, we don't, and we're lucky enough.
I'd love to learn more.
Oh yeah, totally. I'd love to learn more too.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough though here with our soils and the amount of leaves and just our climate. We're lucky enough not to have to do a whole heck of a lot of that. And we use compost. We like to mix in compost to our planting areas, like the terrace area. Put that soil over it, mix it in, get that good mix of now refreshed soil, and then plant our plants, and then just mulch. Use that arborist mulch, and we do these different things, and it's not as intensive as some other ways to do things out there. So, but that's cool.
I know we figured out how to kind of make it work for us in our garden for sure, and that's I mean that works. That's what everybody should do.
And it's fun with everybody's experience levels too, because
every
garden's different, right? No garden is the same. I mean, our garden compared to our neighbors' gardens, completely different with sun exposure, even soil sometimes, and how that soil's been either enriched or it's been neglected or it's been forgot about. I mean, there's all these things that happen and all these different things that can happen in all our tiny microclimates. And each garden is so different, and it's fun to hear everybody's experience.
It is, I know.
Yep.
And that's, as far as questions and stuff, if you still have some questions that you want to have answered, let us know. But that's pretty much it for questions for today. And we're getting some ideas for, Sean and I we're in the process of planning out our live topics for the rest of October, and we've got some ideas kind of forming. So we're thinking of maybe doing some fall, maybe kind of like a fall gardening task type episode. Maybe some tips for fall tasks or something. Would that be helpful for you guys?
Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the chat, or let us know in the chat area, or let us know down below in the comments area if this is on replay. You're seeing this on replay. Let us know what you might want to know about. What's another subject or a fall subject for gardening that you'd like to know more about, or a skill you'd like to learn. And we can.
That'd be fun.
We can help. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking we could do kind of like choose maybe 4 to 5 tasks and kind of do tips for those, or I don't know if that would be helpful for everybody, but I don't know. Yeah,
and maybe it's a sequence of tasks. Maybe you're not sure what you should do first, or what comes first, and then what comes after that. Ask, just let us know. Ask if that's something you want to know more about, or a specific question about, well, if I do this, and I want to do this too, when should I do either one of those? Does one come after the other or before the other? So
that's cool. So we're going to be planning on that and get those posted. So check back with on our YouTube kind of upcoming videos. We'll have those posted by the end of the weekend.
Totally.
Speaking of the end of the weekend, I don't remember if we mentioned that we're running a book contest right now. I know, we totally forgot.
Yeah, book contest.
If you're still listening and you want to take part in it, we're giving 2 of these books away, 2 of our books here. You have 2 chances to win actually here on YouTube on the video from September 30th.
Yes.
And also over on our Instagram account. So if you are looking for a book that helps you kind of with all kinds of fall tasks, all kinds of gardening tasks like mulching and pruning and planting.
Especially planting.
A lot of information.
Like planting steps. If you're not sure different planting steps and what you should do before the plant actually goes in the ground, we lay that out in step-by-steps to do that. And whether it's for sowing seeds, whether it's transplanting small plants or seedlings themselves, or kind of more mature plants.
Bulbs.
Yeah, and bulbs too. All laid out in here on chapter 4, I believe.
I know, chapter 4.
Yeah, so and there's a lot more information in this. So check that out. Should we have anybody that wants to enter, just enter down below here too, since we're talking about it?
Yeah, if you want to, sure. Yeah, let us know on comment. You need to, the rules were really easy for YouTube. It's just subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and thank you to those of you that are.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And then let us know in the comments like why you want to win the book, or how it could help you in your garden or something like that.
Yeah. So, and the contest runs until tomorrow. I think you already said that probably.
Tomorrow, like late night.
And then we'll announce the winner, or the winners of the 2 books,
from
this contest on this platform on YouTube on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then also we're running a similar contest for 2 books to give away on Instagram too.
So with some different rules over there, but you'll see the post. We're holding a copy of 2 of the books, and that's the post to enter into. Yep.
And if you wanna double your chances to win a book, go there too on Instagram @SpokenGarden is our handle, and enter that contest too.
Thank you to our publisher, Quarto Homes, or also Cool Springs Press, which is a division of Quarto, for helping us with this contest. One last thing about the contest, even if you maybe already have a copy, which is awesome, thank you. Maybe you want to win one to gift as gift to somebody else.
Yeah, Christmas present.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, thinking about the winter coming up and the holidays. This would be a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So that is going on right now.
So and if you don't know, First Time Gardener Growing Plants and Flowers, that's the title of our book.
So it's been out for 5 months now. It's 5 months old.
Celebrating.
I know, we're celebrating. Yay! So that's why we're doing the contest. It's a celebration of our 5-month book anniversary. So we're still like kind of in shock that we have.
I know.
That we're authors now, and we can't wait for our next book. So we're loving it. But thank you to all of you for considering that, and good luck.
Oh, thanks, Liza. So appreciate that.
Oh, great looking cover, says Liza. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Yay. So that's probably it for today's show, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Again, stay tuned on Instagram, stay tuned on YouTube for the upcoming live topics, and maybe save those so you know that you'll be here and you won't miss out.
Yeah, we're gonna get those uploaded in about a day or 2. We're gonna preload those, so you'll be able to find those on our channel, and then you can hit the set reminder button, and then you'll get a reminder from YouTube to make sure you don't miss the upcoming live.
Yeah, that's fun. And then for those of you that are here, a little inside scoop. Tomorrow's video will be all about the Hori Hori knife. I know some of you have been asking us for our recommendation. Can't talk.
It's okay.
Start over. For our recommendations.
It's okay.
And just ideas and stuff of how to use it and what we like. So we're going to do a Hori Hori knife kind of, I don't know, is it a review? Is it just kind of a demonstration?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Kind of both.
Yeah, I think it's both.
We're just going to get out there and use it in our garden and show you.
So,
So that's coming up.
Yep, fun stuff. Yep, and also, so a bunch of other tools like the Cobra Head, that's coming up too, but we haven't scheduled that yet. That's a different tool. It's a different weeding tool, and it's super cool. We can't wait to demo that and show you guys and review that for you. Sharon had a really nice comment.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
I'd love your book to learn more about gardening. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you,
Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna enter. I'm writing your name down right now, Sharon, and we'll make sure and enter you in the YouTube giveaway.
Cool. Woohoo!
So that's probably it for today's show. We really appreciate you guys joining us.
Totally. Thanks, guys.
Even if you were busy, a lot of you were able to just pop in and say hi.
And we truly appreciate you doing that.
It's just so cool to have such an awesome community. A lot of you have told us that you enjoy starting your Saturdays this way, and everybody can say hi to each other and share gardening information. And
we hope we add something positive to your gardening and even to your Saturday.
Yay!
So
I know.
Yeah.
So have a wonderful gardening. Oh, it's the first weekend of October. So have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. Enjoy your garden and get out there and have some fun.
Yep. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Have a great
weekend. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.